find you well. How has your week been, guys? Please let me know how you are doing in the space below. Thanks for watching and subscribing and liking and anything else you do on YouTube to support this channel. You're all awesome, and it's great that you all watch my videos. I'm going to be talking about ergophobia in this video, as you can tell from the title. I want to talk about my experience of this, why I think I have developed this, and how it presents itself. I'm hoping this video will help others going through the same thing. And yeah, let's talk about it. I just want to say here though, I'm not going to be talking about what a phobia is. I've already done this in another video. I will put a link to my phobias playlist in the description, where I've got I think one of the first videos just called phobias, which will go into what a phobia is. So ergophobia, also called gaseophobia or ponophobia, is an abnormal and persistent fear of work or the fear of finding employment. Now, it's not actually defined as a phobia in the DSM-5, that's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders, version 5. However, I think it should be, because it's a phobia, and phobias are a form of anxiety, but they do say it's probably linked to kind of performance anxiety and social anxiety. Social anxiety I definitely have, and I would say in the past I probably have experienced performance anxiety. However, I would say I definitely have ergophobia. I would say it's definitely a phobia, not just kind of like, oh, I don't really fancy it, I don't really want to do it, or whatever. I am phobic when it comes to work now, and I don't know how this has happened. Well, I kind of do know how it's happened, but I don't know how I've let it happen. And I'm annoyed because all I want to do is be back out working again and earning money and, you know, bringing money into the house, and so Andy doesn't feel like he's the one responsible for everything, and just to make myself feel better about myself. And, you know, there are lots of benefits of working. You know, you get that sort of sense of achievement, you get a sense of ownership of having something that's just about you. And, you know, if you're a parent, or you know, it's about you, it's not about being a mum or a dad, or you know, if you have a disability or an illness, you know, it can make you feel really independent. And so there's so much benefits to working. But I think because I've been out of work for so long, the thought of going back to work is filling me with absolute terror. And this has come out a lot recently since I've been doing my volunteering. Thankfully I went this week, but the week before I didn't go. I had a full-blown panic attack, and it made me kind of I was in an absolute state. I ended up having to get Andy to ring up my manager, and yeah, I mean, thankfully she was really kind and supportive, but obviously it made it even harder to go back this week. And it's just made me, it's just alarm bells have come up because of this huge fear that I have. I'm having a hot flush. See, just thinking about work is stressful. Yeah, so yeah, and it did happen a couple of years ago when I tried to do my peer mentoring volunteering, and I had a group and I ran that group, but I only did it for a few weeks, and then it was avoiding, phoning in sick, and just basically losing all my confidence. And yeah, I've just kind of, it's happened now, and I can't believe that I've been out of work for 5 years. But I've been talking about it a lot with Andy, a lot with my therapist, my counsellor, and, you know, she sort of said, you know, even if people are signed off sick for a couple of months, going back to work after that is huge. And she said, you know, mums feel that way when they've had a baby and they go on maternity leave for maybe 9 months to a year, and then they have to get back into work, and it can be really daunting. Pretty much most of my girlfriends all have babies, and I've seen them all go through this. So I get why this happens, but for me, why has it happened to me? I'm not going to go into a huge history about my career, but I will say that I started off my career path feeling really great, and over the years, as my illness kind of got the better of me, and life kind of got the better of me, relationships got the better of me, I then was worn down more and more until I couldn't cope. I had a breakdown, and it's kind of left me since then out of work. But yeah, I mean, I was always great at going to work. My first job I had when I was 15, I worked in a hairdresser's, and then I did various kind of supermarket jobs, and other couple of jobs and other jobs like that, pub work, all of that. And I phoned in sick on the odd occasion, probably when I was hungover. But on the whole, I would have anxiety going into work. I think it's all related to social anxiety and performance anxiety. I'd always have this fear that something was going to go wrong, like I was going to say something wrong or do something wrong or let someone down. And as I got more and more stressed throughout my career, these feelings of anxiety got bigger and bigger and bigger, until it would be like, well, I can't go to that meeting. How can I get out of going to that meeting? Because I'm just going to go bright red as soon as they ask me something. I haven't prepared anything. And so doesn't like me. They're always really rude to me, so I'd be worrying about that. And I think because I'm such a sensitive person, I've always been like that. I'm not one for kind of like banter and practical jokes and things. I can be really sensitive. So I think going into kind of PR and communications, which is what I ultimately went into after I did my degree, probably wasn't the best field to go into. But I didn't know that. I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed after my degree, and I was like, I'm going to go and work in PR, because PR is what cool people do. Not realising that actually PR was really, really seriously stressful, especially working for an agency and that had many, many clients, and when I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So my first manager was completely scary. She'd bang on the desk. Why haven't you done it like that? Sorry, darling. That was me banging on the table. It's okay. It's just me. I think I just woke him up. And then, so I didn't last at that job very long. I remember phoning the recruitment company. I was like saying, I'm not going back. She's made me cry every day. I can't do it. And of course, they don't get their money if I don't go. So they're trying to make me go. Anyway, awful disaster. But I put that behind me, and I was like, no, not all PR is going to be like that. It's going to be good. And actually, I was surprised, and I got a job at a cat charity as a PR assistant. And I had probably the best years of my career at that job. Great manager, great team, apart from one person that would wind me up, but there's always going to be someone. Life is that way, and you're never going to be around 100% wonderful people all the time, because the majority of the population are, Anyway, so worked at the cat charity, really enjoyed that, got my foot in the door for PR, communications, learnt a lot, and really great. But then I was like, thought, okay, I've been here for a bit and they're not really offering me a scope for development. So then I went to another charity, and that's when things started to go wrong. And at this time in my life, I was between relationships, and then got with this guy, Ricky. I think I've probably talked about him many times. Do you mind kicking my back? Do you mind? Just because you're cute and fluffy. Although it's a bit stinky because he rolled in poo today. And I can't wash him because I've got to record and I've got to do other things, so I'm going to wash him later. Luckily, that's Andy's side of the bed. Anyway, so got the job there, and that's when things started to go wrong. Was with Ricky, catching up, Jem, well done. Was with Ricky, and that's when things started to go wrong for me, and when my social anxiety started to really kick in, performance anxiety. And basically was with Ricky for 2.5 years, and he wore me down, and it had an impact on my work, because I would be coming in crying, or I'd be phoning in sick because I was crying. Yeah, and it just, I gradually got more and more worn down, and obviously knowing now what I know, knowing then what I know now, I was developing, knowing then what I know, not knowing then that I was developing a mental illness, or that I had already developed borderline personality disorder, emotionally unstable personality disorder. So I didn't know any of that was going on, but I just remember being like, why can't I do this? Why is this so hard? Why is getting up, going to work the hardest thing I have to do? Why is everything else around me suffering? Why am I not making deadlines? Why is my work not as good as everyone else's? It's because I was constantly anxious all the time. And I remember I would do things like go to the toilet, be sick, pretend to be sick, come back in and be like, I've been sick, I've got to go home. I remember getting my mum to phone in and say I have to come home because of family emergency. I would make up every excuse you could think of to get out of going to work because I was absolutely petrified. I was scared of messing up. I was scared of letting people down. And I just got a huge hate of myself and thinking that I was inferior and that I would never amount to anything. And as time progressed there, it just got worse and worse and worse. And then I ended up finally separating from Ricky, and then 6 months later I have a mental breakdown. And I think it was from the stress of work, from the stress of Ricky, and I think it was a culmination of many, many things. But all of this happened whilst I was at work, and I just now associate work with stress. I associate work with emotional pain. I associate work with feeling inferior to other people. I associate work with authority, dominance, hierarchy, sanctimonious arseholes, bullying, sexual discrimination. I just associate work, like everything negative to do with work, and that is all I think about. And I think because of all of that, it's turned into a phobia. And then I left the job at the charity sector, went into the private sector, and things just got even worse. Probably the worst manager I've ever had, coupled with a few male members of staff that were inappropriate, one of whom ended up taking advantage of me. So that on top of that, and then that was after one breakdown. Then I had another breakdown. So I'm associating all of this with being at work, horrible people being at work, horrible experiences when I'm at work, feeling unsafe, in danger, like something bad's about to happen, impending doom. All of this whilst being at work. And then finally, the last job I had, which was 5 years ago, almost, I think it'd be 5 years ago in July that I lost the job. Or was it June? June or July. So yeah, almost 5 years ago to the day now. And that job was, I think, by the time I got that job, I was literally hanging on by one emotional thread, and it wasn't going to take much for my world to come crumbling down, and it ultimately did. But it was deadlines, and I just couldn't concentrate, I couldn't function, I couldn't work. I was in physical pain, emotional pain, stress like I've never experienced it before, and my body and my mind just gave up. And yeah, and that was 5 years ago, and I ended up getting sacked from that job because of my performance and phoning in sick. But ultimately, it's left me with this real negative thoughts, negative association with work. And that has ultimately, I feel, I'm not into self-diagnosis, but I feel it has turned into a phobia. Not just like, oh, I don't want to go to work today. It's a genuine like, oh my God, I'm terrified. If I go to work, something absolutely terrible is going to happen to me or to someone around me. Probably in my head, it's more likely I'm worried it's going to happen to me. But yeah, ultimately, my career and the people that I met throughout my career and the jobs that I've done have helped me to develop this irrational fear of working. And all I can do is try to go to work, try to go to my volunteering every week. Even if I'm feeling bad, just make it in there, just get there, because as soon as I'm there, I'm okay. It's the build up before, it's the what could happen. You know, if I say something wrong, or I drop something on the floor, or I break something, or fall over, or someone says something nasty about me, or there's bitchiness, or whispers, or hierarchy and authority and all these things. And it's irrational. That's what a phobia is. It's an irrational fear. I know if I go to the charity shop and do 4 hours once a week, really, what is going to happen? The worst that's probably going to happen is that I'm going to put, I don't know, an incorrect price on a garment. So I was busy recording away and was talking for ages before I realised that it wasn't recording. So God knows where I was. But I think what I was saying was that before going to the charity shop, I'd be worrying about things that could happen, like making a mistake or getting things wrong. And that is where I think what it comes down to is this fear of something going wrong, this fear of me messing up, me not being in control, someone else being in control of me, and all the other things that come along with that. And I think that is purely because I've had a negative experience when I was working. And I think other stuff that happened in my life added to that. You know, I think if I hadn't had such stressful relationships and money worries and dealing with a diagnosis of a severe mental illness and having to manage that mental illness as well as manage relationships and all other things, I think it all kind of built up into this massive thing. And now 5 years later, I'm absolutely petrified of working. And I think people need to be talking about this, because I think people often misunderstand those people who don't work and like, why can't you work? There must be something wrong with you. Everyone should be working. Everyone should be bringing money and making money for this economy. And blah, blah, blah. Not everyone can work. Not everyone can give to society in that way. They can contribute in other ways. If you can't work, it doesn't mean there's something like inherently wrong with you, there's something wrong with you. I can't think of the right word without sounding derogatory in any way. But just personally for me, I want to get back to work. I want to be able to go out and be with the world and put up with all the shit that it throws at me and be able to be like, do you know what? I'm doing this for myself to help whomever is involved in whatever work I'm in, support them, and just do something that makes me feel good about myself. And I don't know what that is yet, but I know that this first step, going to a charity shop once a week for 4 hours, is, I'm hoping, going to start to kind of chip away at this phobia and, you know, make it seem a lot less scary than it actually is. Because really, the worst that can happen is that I'll make a mistake and they'll tell me off and then we'll just move past it. But for me to do something wrong and to be told off or anything like that just feels absolutely terrifying, and I don't want it to happen. But you can't control what's going to happen. You especially can't control what's going to happen when you're around other people and the public. There's no way of controlling that. And I think that's where my fear is, that I'm not in control, and it's a fear of being scared. It's a fear of messing up. And I think I do have high standards for myself, not all the time, but if it's not quite good enough, then it's not the best, and then it's rubbish. If it's not the best, then it's rubbish. I mean, that's just not the way I should be thinking. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this because it's something that's really kind of been at the forefront of my mind recently. I've been talking about it a lot with Andy and my therapist and anyone else that will listen. So thank you guys for listening. But yeah, please tell me about your experience of this. And yeah, I mean, for me, it ultimately comes down to avoidance and me running away, and that isn't going to solve anything. It's just going to make things worse. But sometimes the safety of my comfortable bed, cuddling up to that little dude and hiding away from the world, sometimes feels more appealing than going out and facing it. But having done that for the past 5 years doesn't get you anywhere. Probably makes you feel more worse. And the more we can do to kind of get out there and start building up our confidence again, then we're able to kind of take charge of our lives and say, do you know what? I'm going to do something different now. I want to step things up. I want to prove to myself and everyone around me that I can do it. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Yeah, I hope this video's been okay. It's probably a bit long because I talk a lot. Yeah, please share with me your thoughts on this, your thoughts on any phobia that you've experienced, or maybe you've experienced this one, or you know someone that has, or maybe you know someone that is currently going through this and you maybe want to share this video with them. Please do so. Please comment, please like, please subscribe. But you know, as long as you're watching the videos, I don't care what you do. No, I do. Please like and subscribe and push the notification button. Oh, there's a little bit of growl. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking now. I feel like I've got a bit hyperactive towards the end of this video, but it's because it's taken so many takes, and I think towards the end I get a bit like I'm rushing. So yeah. Oh my god, this is a terrible summary wrap up to a video. I'm going to go now. Love you guys. Have good weeks. Tell me what you've been up to, and let's keep challenging those thoughts and taking care of ourselves inside and out. Love you all to bits. Have good weeks. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye.